low post, mid post, high post, post game sports.
Hey, sports fans, this is Robert with WTP Sports Dudes here live tonight for another banger. I got my man Post Game of the Post Game Sports Podcast with me tonight. How you feeling post game?
Man, I feel great, man. It's always great to be on with y'all, man. How y'all doing tonight?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. We also got our man One Take Zaya in the building. How you feeling, One Take?
Man, when you be introducing us, man, when we come on, it feel like I'm coming out on the starting lineup in the basketball arena. What's good with y'all, though, my peoples?
Oh yeah. You come out with one of those fly handshakes with all your teammates.
I was a simple guy. I just shook hands. I ain't do all the extra stuff. You feel me? It was about business time, you know?
It's about business. I feel you. I feel you. I know y'all caught this past weekend's NFL draft. We're going to talk about that later on in the show. Also, the NBA playoffs is jumping off. We're going to talk a little bit about that. Plus, the WNBA kicked off their season again. So we're going to have some talk about that as well. And then college freaking football has a lot going on. It seems like the NCAA is trying to get their teeth back. Hopefully that happens and we can get some normalcy in college football in a year or two. But let's go ahead and get into this NBA action. Let's talk about it. We got our man Lawrence Whitmore, Papa Whitmore in the building with us. Also, Bees TV is with us as well. If you get a chance and you're on YouTube, go check out Bees TV. He's in the chat with us right now. So if you scroll through that chat, you will see what his handle is and go check him out on Bees TV. Let's get this first question underway. Several teams face elimination games in the first round of the playoffs. Who do you think sends this series to a 6 game?
I'm gonna have to say the Denver Nuggets. I think if Minnesota was healthy, they probably would have got them out of there. But the fact that Minnesota is suffering from so many key injuries, I think Denver is going to take control of this series and more than likely send Minnesota home. And shout out to Mossberg because he was big on the Minnesota Timberwolves to start the NBA playoffs. And if they could have avoided those key injuries, they probably would be in really good position. So I'm gonna say Denver has the best chance out of the teams to extend the series and possibly even win it.
Yeah, man, I got to go to Pistons, man. I just can't believe that we got a 1 seed down 3-1 in the opening round of the playoffs. I'm going to have to say the Pistons. I think they're going to come out with a lot of fight next game. They lost last night. A real convincing loss too. K had a bad game. It's just I just can't see them getting a gentleman sweep in the first round to an 8 seed, bruh, after they played so well all year long. So I'm going with the Pistons on this one.
Man, I like both of those picks, man. I feel like Detroit can definitely send this thing to a 6 game. I believe Denver can send this thing to a 6 game. But, man, I need my Philadelphia 76ers to send this freaking thing to at least a 6 game. I can't believe they down 3-1. I mean, yes, I can. I can believe they down 3-1 to the Boston Celtics, who I feel like might be at the end of this thing the eventual NBA champions, at least in that game, playing against maybe that OKC team. But, man, I really need my Philadelphia 76ers to rebound and make sure that they can at least push this game to a 6 game. Because to go down 4-1 to the Boston Celtics which I went to the draft with 3 or 4 other Boston Celtic fans at the draft who were Pittsburgh Steelers fans and one Jets fan, and they were talking trash on that night that their Boston Celtics beat my Philadelphia 76ers down the stretch in that game 3. So I'm hoping that Philadelphia can get this win. Now it's a slim chance that they're gonna get it, but I'm hoping that they do.
Hey, speaking of the drafts, man, what were some of the highlights? I know you was at the draft with Parlay Poe and a bunch of guys. What were some of the best moments of you being there, if you don't mind, real quick?
Man, I'm gonna tell you right now, man, the people of Pittsburgh were some of the nicest people. Now, I'm quite sure on game day they probably are totally different. But in terms of how they treated us, people from out of the state, out of the city, they treated us so well, man. They made sure everything was laid out for us, the whole red carpet, the whole 9 yards. They did everything they could do as a city to make sure we all felt welcome. And then to be able to have the stadium open for everybody to come in and have a place to sit with your team and cheer them on as they were making their draft choices. I thought it was an unbelievable job by the people of Pittsburgh and also the NFL. It was top notch. Let's take on this next question. Out of the 2-2 series, what team are you concerned about losing the series?
I got to agree with my man Mossberg in the chat. I think the Knicks, if I got to say one team, it's the New York Knicks. Listen, Jalen Johnson for the Atlanta Hawks has been balling, man. He leading his team in just about every statistical category. The Knicks might be in trouble, and we said it before. Teams in the playoffs where your smallest player is your best player normally don't have a lot of success throughout history. I know there's some exceptions to that rule, but throughout history, that's pretty much been the rule. I like, out of the two teams, I gotta say I'm more confident in Cleveland because I think at some point Evan Mobley is gonna get more involved offensively, just like he did in the first couple of games. And if Evan Mobley is able to get back scoring like he was the first couple of games of the series, I like Cleveland to move on. So the more concerning team, in my opinion, has to be the New York Knicks.
Hey, listen, they both scared me. Both of these 2-2 series scared me because the Knicks, Brunson like to shoot them out of games. We should be getting Cat about 15, 20 shots a game, and I be feeling like they just won't let him be the head of the offense, which they should. But with this question, I'm gonna have to lean more towards Cleveland. Did y'all see the way that Toronto building was rocking the last game? I feel like if they could just steal one more in Cleveland, I don't even think Cleveland can beat them again in Toronto. Because the way that fan base show up, it's going to be so hard to beat them in their building. And they ain't even been getting good minutes out of Brandon Ingram. Don't let Brandon Ingram get going.
Well, I'm quite sure Brandon Ingram is going to get going in this next game because the way his girl was looking at him after that performance he just had, I think he gonna show up in this next one. But I really feel like, man, the Knicks and what y'all said about the fact that Big Cat is not getting the touches that he needs to get. I don't think the Hawks have an answer for Big Cat. I really don't. And I think if they will go ahead and say to themselves, let's get this series over with. We know Big Cat got the advantage. Let's let him rock and roll like he did in game 1, even though it was in the second half. I think that they could win this series against the Hawks. Cleveland, I think, is going to be in a dogfight though, especially if Brandon Ingram can show up in this next game or two, and that crowd that they have, like you said, one takes there. So I'm gonna say the Knicks are the one that I'm concerned about the most. In out of the two, the series that are 2-2, for sure. Let's go to this next question, man, and I want to get y'all's thoughts on how y'all feel about it. How big have the injuries been to the outcome of these games in the first round? We know KD has sat out 2 games. We know that we've had some injuries. Who was that other player that's been injured? We know Wembley sat out a game, and there's been a couple of other injuries. How big have those injuries been, and how much of an effect have they had on this first round of matchups?
You want to take that one take? Okay. So, I mean, I mentioned it earlier. I think, Edwards and DiVincenzo for Minnesota being injured has really turned the tide of that series. Rudy Gobert has been quietly, I think, playing really well against Jokic. I feel like Jokic should have been suspended for starting that fight, but that's a whole nother story. But those injuries to the Minnesota Timberwolves has really changed that series, in my opinion, and has given the Denver Nuggets a chance to come back and win that series overall. But injuries suck, man. That's one of the worst parts about any sports, in my opinion. Like the injuries, dealing with stuff like KD. I think if KD was healthy, we would have a better series. But then again, if Luka and Reeves are healthy, I think they blow them out the water. So injuries have been a big factor. It sucks. It's just a part of the game. What we like to say, next man up. But I think the biggest injury impact definitely has been the Minnesota Timberwolves. And even if they do advance, Rob, even if Minnesota somehow does advance, they're not going no farther than the next round because I doubt Edwards and DiVincenzo will be back for that series anyway.
Yeah. Let's welcome my man T1 into the show tonight. How you feeling, T1?
Feeling great, y'all. Feeling great, man. You know how I be moving and grooving, and then I looked at my phone. It was 8 o'clock, and I said it's the second Tuesday of whatever month you said. And I'm like, I got to get over there to the homies, man. I'm good, man. Good to see y'all.
Yeah, good to see you too, bro. We're talking about this NBA action, and we were talking a little bit about your Cleveland Cavaliers. How concerned are you in this series with Toronto being tied up 2-2?
I'm not all that concerned. We just have to keep that home court. And now if we lose the next one, if we lose tomorrow, then I'll be concerned. But as long as we keep that home court and go do what we got to do tomorrow, I feel pretty good. I think we let one slip away in that game 4. I feel like we could have got that one in Toronto. So I'm not really that concerned.
All right. Do you think the Lakers are going to pit the Houston Rockets away since they're up 3-1?
Yeah, it's night. It's night. It's night. They got their number even with their injuries. They got their numbers and they up out of here.
What about Boston over Philly? They're up 3-1 on the Philadelphia 76ers. Is that night too?
It's night tonight. Boston gonna get them some good rest and sit back and watch and see what's about to come next for them.
Yeah. What about that Detroit and Orlando series? Orlando's up 3-1, and that's shocking because Detroit has been one of the best teams in the league this year. What's your thoughts on that one?
Well, that's the most shocking of all of the playoffs. And then with that being a 1-8, but Orlando has a history of being an 8 and upsetting the 1. And I know that because I'm a Cleveland Cavaliers fan, and they popped us one time. So it looked like they about to pop Detroit.
Yeah, it sure do look like they're about to pop Detroit. Well, let's check out. Was there anything else about the NBA playoffs that y'all want to discuss before we move on to the WNBA?
Yeah,
Yeah,
just
let me. Oh, go ahead, Post.
no,
What
it's
I'm
your
gonna
turn.
take?
Go ahead.
Yeah. Let me say this. We've been talking about the injuries that been hurting people. And my Lakers, we down Luca and AR, and I think it's helped us because I think it's showed us that we need to lead with our defense and our hustle. We got Marcus Smart out there just running everywhere, all the way, everywhere on the court. And I like that they on the bench and they can see that if we can lead with our defense and let our offense just come, that's the way for us to win. Because with Luka and AR on the floor, AR is a willing defender, but Luka just don't try on defense at all. So when we get those guys back, all you got to do on defense is give effort. The most the most of the battle for real is the effort on defense. You just got to want to play defense for real. You give effort, you know what I mean? Good things happen. So I'm hoping when we get them back, they understand that when that man is open and he get that ball in that corner and this your rotation, don't just watch him shoot it. Run out there. You don't know. You running at him might make him miss. So the guys that we lost actually benefited us, I feel like, in this first round.
Hey, so one take. Let me ask you a question. So, how many notches up do you think y'all go when y'all get those two players back? Like, do y'all go notches up, or is it messing up what y'all got going on right now? Because I thought it would be a tougher battle for y'all with those two players out going against Houston, and it really looked like it's not a problem at all. And the Lakers look to be playing some good ball right now.
T1, man, I gotta to answer this question, I gotta give LeBron full credit, man. Because one thing I can see is he's the main one that's leading with the effort. He's 40 years old, 40 plus years old. You see him diving on the floor for loose balls. That's contagious, man. When the best player on your team is on the court and you seeing he 40 plus and he hustling and he diving on the floor and giving his all on defense, them guys just got to come back and get the same energy, man. We don't care about the offensive end. The offense is going to come, especially with like a player like Luka. Luka is he's a one of one offensive player. The offense is going to be there. It's just you got to buy in on that defensive end. That's it.
Yeah. I was also going to add, like, don't forget, not only is Kevin Durant supposedly injured, right? But if Houston had Fred Van Vliet along with Kevin Durant, because Fred been out the whole entire season, man, how good would Houston be? And another thing, talking about Detroit and the Orlando Magic, y'all touched on, like, I'm disappointed in Detroit for not rocking with Cade Cunningham. Like you we know Cade gonna do his thing. And it's amazing that he's averaging 8 assists, given that the supporting cast haven't really stepped up. Wendell Carter, Pretty Brown Rebound's boyfriend, has been outplaying Durant, and I didn't see that coming at all heading into the series. So I hope Detroit gets their self together, because if they don't, they going home.
Hey, let me tap on post game because he ain't really want to speak about it. You know, yeah, Kevin Durant is buns, man. He's supposedly injured. I think he ducking the smoke too post game.
No,
If you ain't gonna say it, I will.
I think he injured, and you can't say KD is buns, man. KD is a sniper, man.
Man, he's
And
buns, bro. He's overrated, bro. He's riding on the bus. He's not one of them dudes that's gonna lead, and he's not gonna take his team to the promised land. He's one of them guys that he got good numbers, but nothing to show for.
he got 2 rings.
Yeah, on another nigga's back.
No, I think that he had a whole lot to do with that. I don't think they get those rings without KD. I think those are LeBron's rings, and I talked about that a long time ago. KD stole some rings from LeBron. Those 2 rings that KD have, they go to LeBron, and I think that might be why you may be a little upset.
I'm upset because he was up 3-1 and left the team that he was up 3-1 with on that team, that same team, he won the championship with and went and played with them to beat LeBron. That's why I'm upset. Yeah, you right. He did steal a couple rings from LeBron. You right.
Now you just upset me a little bit, man, because that pissed me off. You know, you usually don't see no stuff like that. You usually don't get smacked around by somebody, and then you go and join them when you know they're abusive, and you go and join them anyway. Yeah, you usually don't see nothing like that. But
yeah, fellas, I don't know. I ain't gonna go as far to say that Kevin Durant is buns, but I think this top 10, top 15 chatter is dead.
I mean, but it also helps. We just like you said about Van Fleet not being there. I mean, you have to talk about these other players that these superstars be having when they're winning these playoff games and they're winning these championships. They be having players. So, you know, where Kevin Durant is with this Houston team right now, you know, I can't call him a bum, and I also can say that point guard that he has missing is making a huge difference with how far they go in these playoffs, which ain't gonna be about this first round.
Yeah, Fred Van Fleet is a dog.
A player that if you put him with KD, it's gonna be a whole lot of sniping going on out there, especially with those other pieces around out there.
Yeah, they missing two key pieces. They missing Steven Adams too. They need him.
Yeah.
Well, Leighton Glover is definitely in agreement with you, one take, Zed, because he's saying for real he trash. He ain't really hurt, and he said, "Bro is buns."
Man, y'all calling KD buns?
Hey man, listen, I'm not saying that because I'm a Texas Longhorn fan, and I know KD ain't buns. You know,
Right.
it just happened to be one of those situations. He in what year, 17 or something like that?
He up there. He like 35.
14 or something.
Yeah, he about 35 or something. He up there.
Yeah, he up there. And he's still killing. What he averaging? About 28, 27, 28? You can't call that bum.
Well, listen, but for context, when I'm calling him buns, I'm calling him like superstar buns. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's like one of the worst versions of the superstars that I see. He gonna go out there and get you 30, gang. I ain't saying like I can fuck with him on the court. Nah, I can't do nothing with KD, bro. You know what I'm saying? I'm just saying, like, he's a top 40 player, like how post game said. That 10-15 talk, top 10-15, that chatter need to cut. I'll take Kawhi Leonard over him.
So you saying it ain't a brioche bun with sesame seeds on top of it?
Nah, I ain't calling him that type of bun.
You trying to call him great value?
I ain't saying the bread soggy, bro.
Let's look over to the WNBA, man. Their season has started. What rookies are really showing out for y'all, shining so far in this WNBA?
Well, it's actually just the preseason.
Oh, it's still the preseason. Oh, okay, good.
Yeah, the regular season begins, I believe, May 8th. But some rookies that have been standing out in the preseason, definitely Cody McMahon. I think, you know, her physicality, you know, her hustle, her will for the Washington Mystics has really stood out. Of course, Flo J, man, she's been like, you can tell she took this opportunity to play in the WNBA really serious, because you can tell she's been working in the weight room, working on her game. They've really stood out to me, if I got to say, two rookies thus far in a preseason.
Yeah, I'm in agreement with post game. I think Flage got a chance to really run away with this Rookie of the Year award because her team is trash. They are trash. She gonna be probably the go-to from jump day one, and you know, at Seattle, but Washington got Cody over there, and they got Lauren Betts over there. So I don't know. I think they're gonna fight each other on that team to see who gonna have the best year between them two. But both of them look like they're gonna be able to do some work this year too. I like what they building over there in Washington, though. Don't they got the guard from Notre Dame for a few years back over there, post?
Yeah, No, you're right. They got Sonia Citron. They also picked up Hannah Hidalgo's running mate. Man, I can't think of her name right now, but they got a couple Notre Dame guards out there. Washington is looking real nice. Like I said, man, Cody McMahon, she's so physical, man. She gonna bring a lot to that team, I think.
Yeah, they got a nice little young core. They're gonna be a team to keep your eye on these years coming for sure.
Yeah, you got to take on that T1. All right, maybe he had to step away for a minute. What are you mainly looking forward to early? In this WNBA season, what are you mainly looking to see this year from them during this next season?
You know, before I get fully into that, I want to say the WNBA they're lacking in one spot, man. They got to pick up the advertisement because I feel like the casual fan will have. If I wasn't on, I want to say they was airing the games on Peacock the other day or something. If I wasn't on Peacock, I wouldn't have never even knew the Linux was on. You know what I'm saying? They got to pick up the advertisement or something and get the notoriety about when the season is starting and stuff. Because I didn't even know the preseason was on. Like I said, it was either Prime or Peacock. I happened to get on there to watch something, and I was like, "Oh snaps, WNBA on," and clicked it and watched a little bit of the game. So they got to pick that advertisement up, man.
Hey, they didn't pick the salaries up, so you got to think that'll follow behind it. And I'm just glad they picked the salaries up for them young ladies, man, because they deserve it too. I think it's gonna pick up, Zay, but I definitely understand it.
Yeah, fellas.
You know what? Go ahead.
My bad, Rob. Yeah, fellas, I'm excited about a lot of different things in the W. Now, if y'all know this player, Kennedy Carter, some say she was blackballed from the league last year. So she spent the season in Mexico playing professionally, but now she's back. And they done messed around and let the Aces sign Kennedy Carter, fellas. This is a young lady, a guard who can score. I mean, she's a scoring machine. Even when she was at Texas A&M, SEC Shine School, you could see the potential of her being a dominant scorer. But for some reason, they let the Aces sign Kennedy Carter. So I'm excited to see that team and how good they can be with the addition of Miss Kennedy Carter. Another team that I'm really looking forward to see, and the beauty of the WNBA for me is that I don't have a team per se. I just like watching the basketball. So it makes it easier to analyze the game when you really don't have a dog in the fight. But the Atlanta Dream getting Pretty Brown rebound, Angel Reese to that team with the addition of Reese and the core they have already, which they made a lot of noise last season. I'm really looking forward to seeing what they can accomplish. So the Aces and the Atlanta Dream are the teams to watch for me.
You know, I sort of feel the same way One Take feels about the fact that the WNBA, now that you have gotten yourself that contract, you really need to be out there promoting the game, the sport, your league, so that you don't have to stumble across games. We know when the NFL is going to be on, and we know the NFL is the top dog, and I'm not even trying to compare the WNBA to them, but you got to put out there the same kind of effort to promote your league. And I feel like they got to do that. And I feel like they got some very, very talented women basketball players who could do that for them. I see a lot of them marketing their brand and themselves, but at the same time, are they also marketing the league? And I would like to see them do a little bit more of that. But I want to see, can we get a healthy Caitlin Clark all season to really see if she is going to really take over the face of the league and maybe be up there with Asia Wilson in terms of being one of those marketable pieces. We know she's marketable, but is she going to be on the court enough for us to see her have some of those thrilling kind of games that we came accustomed to seeing her do at Iowa? I want to see if that's going to be the case this year.
Well, I can tell you that ain't gonna happen right now because Kelsey Mitchell was over there. She's a monster. She's gonna lead them in scoring again. Again. And you know, I love the W. I really do. But guys, I'm here to tell y'all I'm still 1 year away. Because once Juju get there, I'm gonna wear my jersey and I'm gonna watch every damn game I can possibly. Wherever she go, that's who my team is.
Y'all mentioned the Indiana Fever. I mean, Kelsey Mitchell. You can't forget about Big Aaliyah Boston. They really have a really dynamic roster. And needless to say, they made it to was it the conference final last season without Caitlin Clark. So we definitely gonna see how good Caitlin is this season. I think she got the goods. I also think she gets a lot of hype though. But the Indiana Fever is definitely a team to watch. They got a lot of good players on that team.
And I like you throwing my lady Buckeye out there because Kelsey is a monster.
She's a monster, bro. She's a monster, that's for sure. Let's change gears again and let's talk a little bit of NFL. We know we had the draft this past weekend, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. What surprised you the most during this year's NFL draft?
I'm sorry for being a homer, y'all. I'm sorry, but I know y'all already where I'm going with it. But the biggest surprise for me, well, no, let's go back because we was going live, so I'm gonna get off of that. Was Love going to Arizona and take to the Titans? Those right there was a huge surprise to me. But I love both of those picks.
Yeah, I got a few surprises, man. Um, I thought Dallas, they kind of weird to me. They always trading with their divisional team, Philly, and it seemed like they kind of help them out with these trades. I thought if they could have just stayed pat, they could have just got the same guys that they wanted, or they could have drafted Bang at 12 and then turned around if they stayed at 20 and took Akeem Mesidor and took both of the DNs. They drafted three dudes on the defensive line, so you clearly was in need of that, and you could have still you wouldn't have found a Caleb Downs, but what was your biggest need? Your biggest need was that D line. You wanted to clean up that D line. So you could have got two guys that you would have felt real comfortable with if you would have just stayed pat and you wouldn't have helped out a divisional rival. And then another thing that surprised me, Minnesota, what are y'all doing taking Caleb Banks at 18? Why are y'all reaching that far for a guy that you don't really know is going, I mean, I guess it's a high risk, high reward pick, but I thought Minnesota kind of was the team for me in the first round that absolutely reached when it was unnecessary.
Absolutely, fellas. Well, initially I thought that the Jeremiah Love pick was the most surprising pick, but then I looked at Arizona's roster. You got two really good receivers, and Marvin Harrison Jr. and Michael Wilson, and then the tight end Trey McBride. Now you add your franchise running back. I know that they don't have a franchise quarterback, but Brissett is solid. I like those offensive weapons in Arizona, and I think Jeremiah Love is going to be the cherry on top. So, but I really wanted him to go to Rob's team, the Tennessee Titans, because I wanted him to play with a franchise quarterback. But seeing that Arizona roster, I think that was a hell of a pick. Now, my biggest surprise in the first round of the NFL draft, I agree with Poe. I got to go to the Rams taking Ty Simpson because I think of the prospect. You could have got Mekhi Lemon. Can you imagine Matthew Stafford? Because they trying to win now, fellas. The St. Louis Rams trying to win now. They trying to win a Super Bowl. Can you imagine a team, Mekhi Lemon, Puka Nakua, Devontae Adams, Kyron Williams, Matthew Stafford, a solid defense in the LA Rams. I'm sorry. I might have said St. Louis. But the prospect of having an offense like that, those many weapons surrounded by Matthew Stafford, and you trying to win now, I really didn't understand the Ty Simpson pick. Even if it's a great situation for Ty Simpson, because now like you kind of let him sit and you grooming, you stashing. It's a future pick. I get it. But man, if you look at next year's draft board and all the quarterbacks there, you could have did that next year. If I was the Rams, I would have got Mekhi Lemon in that wide receiver room, and I would have let him cook with those guys and Matthew Stafford. So that was the biggest surprise for me. The Rams taking Ty Simpson in the first round that early.
I mean, I was surprised by them taking Ty Simpson, but I don't see it necessarily as a bad pick because I know that that's the direction they want to try to go in the future. And I think Ty Simpson is going to be a pretty good NFL quarterback. Do I want to get him at 13? I would have rather got him somewhere else. Maybe I would have tried to get some more picks and stayed in the position I was because I don't think anybody else was going to reach and take him that high or in that range. But I mean, I still think it was a good pick for them to get him. Maybe not necessarily at 13, but I really did want Jeremiah Love to fall to my Tennessee Titans. And the thing I was glad about was the fact that the Titans understood that, hey, he's not going to be here because he just got picked one pick before us, and they pulled the trigger without hesitation on Carnell Tate because we know we need some wide receivers in that room. So I was happy that my Titans were ready to pull the trigger, but it kind of surprised me that they were because I thought for sure if they didn't get Jeremiah Love, they were going to go and get a defensive player. But they did stick on the offensive side to help out Cam Ward. So that was a surprise for me. Just seeing how they did their due diligence to make sure they got the people they had on their big board.
Hey Rob, I ain't mad that he ain't. My bad. A lot of background noise. I ain't mad that he ain't fall to y'all though, because y'all was able to pick up Nicholas Singleton in the 4th round. So that's a Big Ten back. He was the most explosive back between the two for real. Him and Katron Allen, in my opinion. I think he gonna bowl well with Tony Pollard out there in Tennessee.
I totally agree with you 1,000%. One take because when we got him, I think it was Kevin Bird who was with us on this trip to the draft. I said, man, we got Nicholas Singleton. He said, what? He was like, oh, that's a good pickup. That's a good pickup. And I felt like that too. So I'm glad we did get close to really equal value when you start talking about two of the best dynamic kind of running backs in college football last year when you compare Jeremiah Love and Nicholas Singleton. So
let's slow down.
No, I'm not saying Jeremiah Love, bro. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is we've seen Nicholas Singleton do some pretty good stuff out there on that field.
Okay.
Yeah. I ain't saying Jeremiah Love, brother. I ain't saying. Hey, listen. But to get him in the 4th round, man, that was a good move.
Yeah, you speaking more towards value, right?
Yeah.
Just the value of getting that kind of running back in the round you got him. I get it.
Yeah, for sure. Fans out there don't think I'm nuts because I'm not. How do you think your NFL team did with their draft choices?
You want to start, Zay? Because I thought the Bucks hit it out the park.
Yeah, I go, man. Listen, we did exactly what we were supposed to do. You know, Ruben Bain fell in our lap. The jury is out for Ruben Bain. For me, I'm one of them people that is worried about his arm length, but I also am one of them people that believe in the tape. The tape says it, bro. He got the motor. He got the dog. He gonna be even hungrier for falling in the draft. And you know, but my thing is historically when we draft defensive linemen, like defensive ends, they usually typically don't pan out in the first round. I don't know why. It's like a curse. But then we turned around and got Joshua Trotter out of Missouri, who's a tackling machine. We definitely needed somebody in the middle of that defense because, like I said, Levante David retired, so he's not going to be Levante David, but he is definitely going to be everywhere on that field. A sleeper dude, Ted Hurst out of Georgia State, we got in the third round, I believe. 6'4", big body receiver, something that we ain't got in our wide receiver room no more since Mike Evans went to the Niners. And then Keontae Scott, who I think is going to start day one for us in the nickel. So in actuality, I think we got 3 starters out of this draft. I asked post game about the guard we got. We took in the 6th round, Billy from Notre Dame. He told me good things about him. I think he probably be in the rotation at some point. But anytime you can go into the draft and you can add 3 starters, like from day one, I think you did a beautiful job. And I think Bang Trotter and Keontae Scott. Keontae Scott is that corner that intercepted that ball when we played them and took it to the crib, if y'all don't know who he is. So real instinctive. I think he going to start nickel for us day one. So I like what we did, man. I think we touched every need that we had, and we tried to build depth late in the later rounds in certain positions that we needed. So I can't never be mad. I think we always draft good. We just take what the board give us.
Hey, I wish I could say my Brownies always drafted good, but these past 2 drafts for the Browns, they've knocked it out the park. And then this draft right here, you see it's a consensus A to A plus across the board. If you're looking at any of these shows, man, and we just touched every single area of need. And to be able to get Concepcion and Denzel at that wide receiver position, the best left tackle, and then really probably the best safety out this joint with the big hitter up out of Toledo, man. Cleveland knocked this thing out the park, man. I'm excited to see this offense to go with that championship defense this upcoming season, man. And my Bengals didn't do too bad either, but they just didn't do as well as the Browns, man. And I just think the Browns knocked it out the park. And if you're a Browns fan, you can't do nothing but be excited about what this year may look like going with that defense. And then that safety, Warren out of Toledo. I don't know if y'all saw that young man's tape, but he is a hitter. He is a headhunter.
Yeah, for sure. I think the Browns did well. I definitely think Tampa Bay did well. I mean, but really, fellas, to be honest, like I don't think there's not one team, one fan base, no GM that doesn't think their team did well. Only time will tell. But you know, just for the sake of argument, I definitely think there were some teams that did very well. But as far as my Indianapolis Colts, I want to heal out of Texas. They get CJ Allen, the linebacker from Georgia. I can't complain about that. Indianapolis needs linebacker help. I think his tape is really, really good, man. And CJ Allen was projected by some to go in that first round to outside of the Ohio State linebackers, be the other linebacker taken in the first round. AJ Hawsey, the safety from LSU, man, that dude is a baller. You know, I like his frame. He's a bigger safety, you know, not tall, but, you know, as far as his, you know, width, I think he's going to start right away for the Indianapolis Colts. And then, you know, the Colts not having a first round pick, I think they did well getting depth, getting some defensive help, getting that guard from Kentucky, the running back from Kentucky, I'm sorry, in the latter rounds. So I think the Colts did well, man. And also the guard from Kentucky. So I think the coach did well. We had some defensive issues or defensive holes we needed to fill. I thought we filled them well with Allen and Halsey. So I'm excited to see, man, because in the latter part of the season, the Colts defense was getting Swiss cheesed up. So we'll see if these players are able to come in and make a difference.
Yeah, I like the draft that my Tennessee Titans had. After hearing my man One Take Zay say what he said about Keldrick Falk, I had to go back and look at it, and it's probably we could have got Falk in the second round at the pick that we had because we had an early pick in the second round. We could have got him there. I wouldn't have traded up to get him because for one thing, he's probably not going to even come in and start for the Titans next year. So I definitely would not have made that move. But I think he's going to be able to learn behind the two guys who are probably going to be the starters at that defensive end position and help bring him along. So that could be a plus for my Titans. But I like the fact that they got Anthony Hill, who I believe is the most rangy linebacker in this draft. There's a lot of linebackers. There's a few linebackers that are probably better than him at overall linebackering, but in terms of his range, I think that he's probably the best in terms of his range from sideline to sideline and depth in the passing game. So I like that pickup. And to be able to get, like I said earlier, Nicholas Singleton in the fifth round, it was One Take. They got him in the fifth and not the fourth. So I think that was great value right there. And then they got some linemen, which they needed some help there. And they got a defensive tackle, which we know that they needed help there because they only want their defensive tackles to play about 60% of the snaps. They don't want those guys out there 70, 80% of those snaps. And that's going to help them a lot, especially when it comes to plugging those holes in the run game. So overall, I really liked the Tennessee Titans draft this past draft.
Sound like you right, Post. Everybody happy, right?
Oh, for sure.
Oh, that's
Go ahead, Post.
No, I was just gonna say that's how it start off, man. Everybody after the draft, all 32 teams, all 32 fan bases, everybody happy because it's like the potential of what the players they drafted can do. You know what I mean? Now, whether it pans out or not, that's a different story.
Yeah, who would y'all say? Like, you know, I know we just spoke about everybody happy right now, but who would y'all say is y'all's winner? Y'all's number one top winner of the draft?
You talking about team or player?
Team.
Or team?
Man, that's tough because I felt like it was a few teams that did real well, man. I mean, I think the Raiders did well. And that's not saying Fernando is going to be the best quarterback ever, but if he can just be a solid dude, the rest of their draft was real good. I thought the Jets did well. I thought the Titans did well. I thought One Take your Bucks did really well. I thought Cleveland, a lot of teams, man, looked like they hit it out the park.
Yeah.
I asked because there's one team that I identified that, man, the Dolphins, man. I think the Dolphins killed the draft. They got both Texas did they get both safety? No, I think they got Taft. Who else did they get from Texas, Rob?
They got
they got Trey Moore. Got Trey Moore.
Yeah.
But your first round pick, you got Proctor, who it's a lot of upside there. They say he lazy though, so we'll see how that turn out. But to get Chris Johnson on your next pick in the later first round, who they say is an interception machine, and pair that with Jacob Rodriguez, who at the linebacker position, we know what he about, you know, forcing fumbles, intercepting the ball all over the field, won the best linebacker award. Then they got Chris Bell, who I think, he was hurt. He hurt but he could turn out to be probably a top 3 receiver in this draft. So, man, they just got a lot of different dudes from different places, and I just love their draft, bro. And I hope a lot of these dudes hit for real. We know it's gonna be some busts in there, but they built up these assets because they needed a lot of different things. But I guarantee you, about 6 or 7 of these dudes is gonna hit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I liked what the Dolphins did as well. Was there a player or two you wish that your team had gotten?
Oh yeah, and let me also shout out the Dallas Cowboys. I know a lot of Dallas Cowboy fans, and they freak out every year about Jerry Jones blowing the draft for him. I don't think he blew this draft at all. But it's one player that they drafted that I wish my Colts had a first round pick to draft, and that was Malachi Lawrence, the defensive end from UCF. Quick first step, a lot of bursts, a fast guy. He ran in the 4.5s. That's really fast for that size. So I felt like if the Colts had a first round pick, I would have loved Malachi Lawrence in the latter part of the first round, just for to give a opposite of Liatu Latu another pass rusher.
So that's a great player to want post game. Because he's a beast.
Yeah,
I'm good.
I'm happy for Arvell Reese, man. Just to think though, and no shade, Rob. I love his chances way more at the Giants than I would love his chances at the Jets or the Titans. Because he's not a finished product, but he can learn from a lot of them dudes that they got there. Abdul, Burns, Thibs. He got guys that he could just take knowledge from and just take pieces from their game because them are the same type of players that he want to eventually become. So I'm happy that he actually fell a little bit and landed at the Giants.
Yeah, that pass rush is gonna be sick.
Man, I can't wait to watch them.
I'm excited, man. I think that rookie of the year is going to be extremely tight this year. I think it's a lot of players that's going to contribute that came out of this draft right here. I think this was actually a really, really good draft on the offensive and defensive side.
Oh, post game. I ain't even bring up the Giants and your boy though. That was the sneaky pick for the draft for me. Malachi Fields landed at the Giants and is going to be opposite of Malik Neighbors, big target. I thought that was a key piece too, and it made sense. I was wondering, like, damn, I thought they might have went receiver, well, but it made sense. They identified their guy in a later round that they could get, and it was Malachi Fields. Which Malachi Fields, we know he ran a slow 40. But I don't be caring about them 40 times. He run good routes. He's a big receiver. He's going to be a possession guy for them, and that's what they needed.
Yeah, that was a money pick for sure.
Anything else on that question?
Good.
All right, let's turn our attentions to college football. It's been in the news quite a bit the last couple of days. What's your take on Brandon Sorsby gambling news?
Hey, my fault, Rob, real quick. If you don't mind.
Yeah, go ahead.
Can I say something about the NFL real quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
How do y'all feel about Coach Vrabel being the first coach to only get a suspension instead of getting fired for playing outside of their marriage? Have y'all spoke on that? And that's one of my Buckeyes, and really no, but like a post on some real stuff. Nobody's gotten suspended when they're in a head coaching position, and they find out that they're having an affair. It's all bad for everybody, like immediately. So how y'all feel about that, or is it just nothing? Just like New England is going about it like it's nothing.
I mean, that's typical New England Patriots for you. I mean, look what Robert Kraft was caught doing. So I mean,
Mm,
that's how that franchise get down, man.
mm.
They do whatever they want.
Ooh, post. That was tough right there. But I never thought like that. I never thought like that. I just thought that everybody got fired once they got caught cheating on their wife. Wow. Or their girlfriend in what's his name? Ibuka, whatever his name was from Boston that's now in Houston. Yeah. Wow, post. That's some deep knowledge right there.
Yeah, but she don't work for the organization, do she?
No,
She
it
was
don't matter. It don't
she like
matter.
a reporter chick or something.
Right. I mean, but I just thought it was just because they was cheating. So you saying if they with the organization, then you
Yeah,
go
he
get some
made.
trouble. But long as
Yeah,
you step outside the organization and cheat on your wife, it's all good.
I mean, cheating on your wife ain't all good, but that's not what I'm saying. But what I'm
No,
saying is, eBay got caught with a lady in the organization. He's technically her boss. You know what I'm saying? That's what's the word for it? It's something. It's when the boss deal with the employees. You
yeah,
can't do that.
Yeah.
you ain't supposed to. I
Yeah,
mean,
you can't.
do we know where this lady work at? That's
That chick is like she like tied in with the reporters or
okay.
something.
She's a
They
reporter.
said she been doing this type of stuff where she get close with an NFL coach or somebody in the organization to get information. She been doing stuff like this, but she don't work for New England Patriots.
All right. Hey, post game question for you.
Go
Is
ahead.
this a different story if he's not in New England? What do you think? That's just for you because you brought a great point up. You know what I mean? But and just my thing was like, as far as I know, and I wasn't even really thinking about who the woman was they was messing with, whether they was in an organization or not. But you know, and then coach from Boston, he wasn't even married. You know what I mean? Him and what's the name was just dating.
Right. Man, listen, the New England Patriots then got away with some crazy things, man, or at least a light slap on the wrist.
Yeah.
So I mean, I really can't say, man. The Patriots is different, bro.
That's my favorite.
Yeah, SEC Sean, we're gonna get to that question after we get finished with this college football stuff. Uh, but in terms of Vrabel and that situation, it's starting to be well. I think it's always been happening, but now it's starting to come out a little bit more in the news where you hear about all of this infidelity and stuff like that. The thing that concerns me about it all is that if it continues to become more and more prevalent, that means that we're probably going to start to look at it as normal. And nobody's going to be getting punished for it. It's just going to be like a common thing that people do. And I don't think that's a good thing for society to think that people can go and do those kind of things. So hopefully they'll rethink this thing and give Vrabel maybe a little bit more of a consequence than what he's getting right now, because I think you send the wrong message to our young people when you allow stuff like this to happen without a serious consequence. So hopefully they'll do something about that, man, because it is becoming in the news a little bit more common, even though I believe it's always been happening. It just wasn't getting leaked like it's getting leaked now because of how much the media is trying to grab a story every chance they get. So let's talk about Brandon Sorsby and this situation with this gambling news. What's y'all's take on that?
Go ahead, post. I ain't hip on that.
I mean, go ahead, Zay.
Yeah, 1-800 gambler. If you need help, they are available. Um, I'm a gambling man. I feel like we all got our own vices in life. Um, and this is probably one of his vices, as he came out and said he got a gambling addiction. I like to take people serious um, when they got their vices, mental health, gambling, whatever it may be. Um, so I am sympathetic for the young man in this instance. Um, but with that being said, let me be very clear. He deserves a ban. You can't go out in sports, gamble on the sport that you're playing in. Um, let alone he was gambling on from what y'all told me, he was gambling on his own teams. You can't do that, and I think it should be a zero tolerance policy. I'm all for getting the young man some help, but I think his amateurism, if that's even a real thing anymore, should be expired. And this is just the world we live in now. We done opened up the sports books, let people gamble. It's really no parameters around it to keep it toned in. So I think we're going to see more and more cases like this. Um, but yeah, I think the young man deserves a ban.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think the consequence should be swift and it should be severe. Um, the thing about this, I hope it doesn't become one of those domino things where tomorrow we'll get another player and it comes out that he was gambling. And then Saturday we'll get another player. And then Tuesday we'll get another player. That's what I hope it does not become. I hope this is just an isolated situation. I hope that young man gets, the help he needs for an addiction like that. You making millions, and well, at the time he probably wasn't making millions, but now he's making millions, or was. It could be a was. But another thing we got to look at, this could probably catapult BYU to the top of that conference. If he's suspended or kicked off the team, that could catapult BYU to the Big 12 championship because I don't think they have a quarterback quite on the level as Sorsby on that roster. So look out for that. This could win BYU that conference. So I hope the young man gets the help he needs. And, I definitely, I don't want to see any more of this. I hope, like I said earlier, this is just an isolated situation and nobody else is really doing this and making these mistakes.
Yeah, first off, of course, we want him to be able to get the help that he needs, and under no circumstance do we want to necessarily want Brandon Sorsby, the person, to have to suffer this consequence. But he has to, simply because a precedent has to be set that you cannot gamble on the sport that you're playing in, for one. And if you're playing any athletic sport and you're getting paid in that sport, you shouldn't be allowed to gamble, especially on that sport. But you probably shouldn't be gambling at all while you're participating as an athlete. So I definitely think that something needs to happen. He could possibly, have to lose his whole entire season, which we all know that when these young people come on campus, that's one of the things that they sit down and they talk to them about. You cannot sports gamble. You can't do that. And if you have had that meeting, which we know that they've had, and you go and do it anyway, you're saying you have no regards for what the rules are because you feel like maybe there's a gray area or a way around it. And he has to get punished, but it's to keep everybody else in line, to let them know, listen, this is not going to be tolerated. If it's left up to Texas Tech, though, Texas Tech is going to probably give him the minimum as possible because they want to have an opportunity to make it to the college football playoffs. And I agree with you, post game. If he does not get to play this season, Utah will BYU will definitely be the favorite in that conference, in my opinion. But I hope he gets the help that he needs, man. And I just hope that this gambling thing can get under control. And like our man One Take Zay said, everybody has a vice, man. And a lot of times you might have people who try to make it seem like one vice is worse than the other. No, man, they're all addictions, man. And you gotta look at people uh, and hope that they get some help, because addiction is one heck of a situation to be in, man. And a lot of us are addicted to sugar. We eat junk like crazy, and we don't see it as a bad thing. But overall, man, for your health, it can turn out to be a bad thing. So let's not jump on nobody's head because they got some sort of vice, but let's be sympathetic and compassionate about it.
Hey, y'all, Rob is addicted to them bean pies, bro.
I'm addicted to them bean pies, bro, for sure. For sure. How do you feel about the 5-and-5 rule? No more red shirts.
Man, we got to get on that ASAP, man. Because, you know, having these 27-year-old players, man, it's just, you seeing Tusi, the rapper slash singer out here. He 26. He about to play his first year in college football. That mean he gonna end up being 30. So man, I don't know. It's a whole bunch of stuff to that 5-and-5 rule. Are they gonna limit the age? Cause like seeing stuff like that is kind of crazy, bruh. He might be 24. He might be like 24, but still, he's still gonna end up being like 28. So I don't know. I think they need to grandfather it in after next year, though. I don't care who on the roster. If you hit your fifth year, maybe let a medical red shirt if it applies. But I think they need to grandfather it in. I don't even think they should let it shuffle out to where all the players that once this rule come into effect, it doesn't apply to them. I think they need to grandfather people in with it.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's going to create more stability. One of the things that I didn't like was players running to the courts and then judges ruling one way or the other, and it wasn't consistent. Just ask the quarterback from Tennessee. So I hope it brings more stability to college football more so than the other sports, because it's ridiculous, man. You got 27, 28-year-olds. And I understand it from their point of view. They want to, okay, I probably can't make a lot of money on the next level. Let me make as much money as I can in college. So I get it from their standpoint, but it's gotten out of hand and ridiculous. I know they're still going to allow some exceptions, but all in all, I'm in favor for the 5-for-5.
What's your take? One take. I mean, one T1. Okay, he moved on again. I'm in favor of it as well, and I think if I'm reading it correctly, your years start once you go on campus, but the clock also starts at 19. So if you're somebody who decide to go and do, let's say, something else, your clock starts at 19, except for if you're pregnant or if you got a religious thing or something of that nature.
Or the
So
service.
or yeah, the military. So I really think that that's a really really good idea. I think it's needed because, like you mentioned earlier, a guy just decide he wants to come and start playing his collegiate career at 20 something. He's already a grown man or whatnot. It just doesn't look good. So I like the 5-and-5. I think that the most of the coaches around the country have been wanting it to go to this kind of a format. I kind of wanted them to get rid of that red shirt rule and let guys play as much as they can when they first get on campus. If they can play on special teams for all how many ever games they play that season, I'm all for that as a true freshman because you know you need those players out there, especially to fill those special teams, so that your main players don't have to play those positions. So I really like the rule. I just hope that after this football season that's coming up in 2026, it becomes retroactive and they don't allow anybody who is looking to get a 6 year. I don't think that they should get a 6 year unless they have one of those circumstances that will grant that.
So how do y'all think it's going to affect? Do y'all think it has any effect on early enrollees, players that reclassify and go to their college a year early? Does that clock still start when they get on campus or when they
It starts,
graduate?
yeah, it starts once they get on campus. Yeah, so if you're gonna start your clock early because you want to get on the campus to start that NIL money coming in, especially if you're in a state where they don't allow you to get NIL in high school, I mean your clock starts, your 5 years start from the minute you get on that campus, and I think that's good as well because I mean maybe the youngest we've had some 16-year-olds on campus before. Most times it's because they're super uber smart. Um, and their bodies just aren't ready yet, maybe they might put an addendum in there for that. Because I know Texas had a guy who was on their campus at 16, and it took him a minute for his body to get right. In fact, I don't even think he's with the program anymore. I think he transferred out because he just couldn't find the field because he had been there trying to get his body right because he was just so young. Maybe they might put an addendum in there for that. I don't know, but if a guy is going to make that decision, he already know what the rules are. Then maybe he should be stuck to the 5-5 too.
You know that I think that's going to fall under the umbrella of them extreme circumstances where if you apply for that 6 year or so, you know, you could probably win that case in court.
Yeah, it seems like the NCAA is trying to get their teeth back with this committee that they got with the president and whatnot. Well, not that they got it, but I think they're trying to use that as leverage to try to get this thing totally under control. And I would like to see them get a foothold on it because it's getting to be a little bit ridiculous.
Yeah,
What do you?
that's
Yeah,
exactly what they're doing, Rob. Linking
yeah,
up with the Prezi.
yeah, and which I think that's a pretty smart move. What do y'all think about what we talked about earlier in the chat? And also, SEC Sean put this question out there to us as well. He's watching some of that good hockey. What about the NCAA basketball tournament expanding to 76 teams?
You know,
I'm
I ain't fully opposed to it actually. As long as those added teams are just strictly playing games. I don't want to see the field really change, but if you're going to tell me, um, like how Texas played, whoever they played in the play in, and then they got that slot to play that first round matchup. If they're all playing games, I'm not totally against it actually because we always hear and see teams complaining and da 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 da. So I feel like this should be the last straw. Like, okay, we push it to 70, 78, or 76. None of y'all teams should be complaining. If you're the 77th best team, we should not hear one complaint, bruh. Not one. You just wasn't good enough.
Yeah, I'm with it in the sport like basketball. I don't mind a little expansion into the NCAA tournaments. Football's a different story. I don't think y'all know my opinion, my stance on that. I don't think college football should expand, over uh a few teams, but you talk about basketball adding 12 teams. I love it. I'm for it.
Yeah, I like it as well because I like one take said. I think it's going to be all playing games. You're going to have 24 teams playing to see who can get them last 12 spots, I guess you will call it, in the NCAA tournament. Um, I mean, to get it to 64, but they got those playing games, which will be those 16 teams, I guess. No, 12 teams, 12 games rather. So, I mean, I'm all for it too. I like to see that expansion because, well, like you said too, if you're not 77 team, you already know you shouldn't be complaining because, listen, you just odd man out. You should have been better. Should have won a game or two more. Maybe you would have got the 76 or 75. But I like it because I want to see more basketball. And I think we talked about that earlier about them expanding and maybe the effects that it will have on the NIT. But I think the NCAA tournament trumps the NIT any day of the week. Unless your
Hey,
team is in the NIT, then you might watch it.
yeah, and to add one more thing, I'm hoping that this helps the mid majors because with this NIL we're starting to see less mid majors because they get all their players stole. But I'm hoping that this is going to allow a few more mid majors to make it into the tournament. That's why I really like the idea actually, you know, because what was it? I want to say it was Akron or somebody. They lost one conference game this year. They wasn't going to sniff a shot at making the tournament.
Yeah, that's true. That is true. All right, y'all got anything else y'all want to add before we wrap up the show? We right at 1 hour and 16 minutes. Anything else y'all want to talk about before we wrap it up?
Yeah, I just want to say Mike Vrabel could resign. And if Mike Vrabel resigns, the Patriots are interested in Mike Tomlin.
Mm.
Man, what's going on with this situation that I missed, bruh? Why is it that serious? Did she work for the organization?
Nope.
So they just strictly mad that he had some infidelity?
Man, image is big, man.
It is, but man, he a grown man, and that's his life he living.
100%. I agree with you, but I mean, when you in certain positions, they hold you to a higher standard.
That's very true. That's true.
I mean, yeah, and if you were running that organization, you would want your staff people to be, law-abiding citizens. I mean, even though it's not against the law to have, and they probably need to put that on the books too. That probably need to become a law that if you, dishonor your marriage in a way like that, that there should be some form of punishment. But the people who make the laws are the ones who probably doing it the most. That's probably why it's not a law. But
Bro, you
anyway,
can't do that, man. You
why
can't.
not? Why not? What do you mean? Why not? Why can't
You
you?
can't take somebody to jail because they done cheated. What are you talking? No, no,
What? Why not? Why
no,
not? Why
man.
not? Why not? Why not?
This is not China. This is America.
So you free to break those vows?
That listen, that's a religious thing, though. You feel what I'm saying? That's a religious thing. Everybody not saying the same religion as the next person. You feel me? Some people marry just to marry. Some people marrying for religious reasons. People marry for business contracts. All different types of things. How do we know why he married? We don't know if he take his vows serious. We don't know if he's really tying a bond and a knot with Jesus. You get what I'm saying? Like, or your case, Allah, you feel what I'm saying? So, nah, we can't do that. Nah, man, it's America, man. This America. We can't stop. Hey, they gonna create more jails for us and make money. No, we ain't doing that, bruh. But I'm with you. I'm not promoting infidelity. I said that. I made that clear. But nah, man.
One take Zay has spoken. It's a free for all. Everybody do what you want. No.
That's not what I said, man.
All right, y'all. Y'all enjoy the rest of y'all's evening, man. It was good having y'all on the show tonight. We'll see everybody again tomorrow. I believe our man Mossberg of Level Up Sports 10 is doing a show tomorrow. What If, I believe it is. And then we'll be back Thursday as our man Post Game will be hosting on Thursday. And we'll see y'all then. So check us out. Make sure you hit the like button, subscribe, tune in to our channel on all the channels scrolling across the bottom. So check that out, and also catch us on Patreon and on WTPSportsDudes.com, our website, and on what is that? What is it called? The one that just play audio.
What, Patreon?
Yeah,
oh
that's
no, you
Patreon.
talking Spotify.
Spotify, yeah, check us out on Spotify as well. Y'all enjoy the rest of y'all's evening, man. Glad to see y'all this evening, and we out.
Yeah.
There's a flexible like metal edging.
Peace.
Low post, mid post, high post. Post game sports.